Hello students, having understood Barkhausen criteria and the tank circuit, now let us try to understand the different oscillators. The oscillators which we will try to understand are Hartley oscillator, Colpite oscillator, phase shift oscillator and crystal oscillator. Okay, so in that series, the first one is Hartley oscillator. I have already mentioned you about Barkhausen criteria. I have kept all those criteria written on the board so that when we relate that criteria to the circuit, it will be easy for you to understand, because we have to relate the circuit on the basis of Barkhausen criteria. And I clearly mentioned that if the oscillator circuit satisfies all the four conditions for Barkhausen, then the output will be sustained oscillation. I hope you remember damped and sustained oscillation. Damped, in which the strength of the signal keep on decreasing with respect to time. But for sustained oscillation, the amplitude should be constant, and for that Barkhausen has suggested that four criteria. If all the four criteria is satisfied in the circuit, then the output will be a sustained oscillation. Okay, so please try to understand. We will use the tank circuit. If you remember LC tank circuit, I have explained you LC tank circuit. We will use that as a feedback factor. Okay, before going to the circuit diagram, just refresh ourselves. Let us just refresh ourselves with the four criteria which has been suggested by Barkhausen. What is the first thing? Some part of the output should be connected back to the input. Okay, I gave you an example of when a stone is thrown in a still water. If you want to keep the oscillation ripples keep on going, so you have to keep on throwing stone in the still water so that the ripples will be constant. And for that, what we said is what we are doing is actually the amount of energy which is lost at the output, we are feeding back to the input. So that is what we have to done. Some part of the output should be fed back to the input. Second criteria, the phase shift between input and output should be 0 degree. In that case, I will say that is a positive feedback. Okay, we have to give positive feedback. I have explained you that if you give negative feedback, it can be we can use the transistor as an amplifier, because in a negative feedback sometimes we need to suppress the gain, and to keep the amplifier stable there is a necessity that we need to provide negative feedback. But when you provide positive feedback, what happens is the gain keep on increasing, right? And that is where we will use that transistor as an oscillator. Okay, third one is overall gain of the amplifier should be unity. That means it should not be used as an amplifier. The gain should be unity. Whatever you are giving at the input, the same should be the output. That is what is meant by this. And the frequency of oscillation should be constant. Okay, frequency of the oscillation should be constant. Amplitude as well as frequency should be constant. Only then it will be called as sustained oscillation. Okay, so of course for the LC circuit which we have studied, the frequency of oscillation, you can read out any book for any circuit, any oscillator circuit. Frequency of oscillation is given by 1/2 pi under root of LC. Okay, so of course in this equation the frequency of oscillation depends the value of L and C. If you keep that value constant, you can see that the frequency of oscillation will be kept constant. Okay, now concentrate on Hartley oscillator. In Hartley oscillator, the only difference between Hartley and Colpite oscillator is, in Hartley oscillator we use 2 inductor and 1 capacitor in a tank circuit, and in case of Colpite oscillator we use 2 capacitor and 1 inductor in case of Colpite oscillator. So that is the basic difference between Hartley and Colpite oscillator. See the diagram which I am going to draw for Hartley oscillator. We just have to draw the diagram and explain that circuit with respect to Barkhausen criteria, and we have to conclude that if all the 4 criteria are satisfied, the circuit will produce sustained oscillation. Okay, so a simple basic circuit of a common emitter configuration as amplifier. Okay, so you need to provide the biasing. Okay, I will call that resistance as R1 RB1 base resistance, which will make sure that the base emitter junction of the transistor is always forward biased. Let's say the transistor is Q1, then the collector resistance is RC1. And to keep the operating point stable for a transistor, what we do is we connect a resistance and a capacitor through the emitter. So this is your emitter resistance, this is your collector resistance. Okay, now in the circuit there may be possibility of internal oscillation which has to be generated, but the internal oscillation has to be suppressed. Therefore we connect two capacitors, C1 and C2. Okay, these are called as coupling capacitor. Okay, and now the power supply which has to be, right, that is what we suggested, oscillator converts DC into AC, right? So you have to provide an external DC power. Okay, now some part of the output should be connected back to the input through a feedback factor. So in case of Hartley oscillator, we have two inductors and one capacitor. Okay, I will call this inductor as L1, this is L2, and this is CT. Okay, and the output is connected to the tank circuit, and the tank circuit's output will be connected back to the input. Some part of the output should be connected back to the input. See how it has to be. Now in the diagram I have shown that two L1 and L2 are connected in series, but they are mutually inducted. Okay, so the connection will be like this, L1 and this is L2. Okay, this is L1, this is L2, and they are mutually coupled. So if current flows through the inductor, same current will flow through the inductor L2. Okay, mutually coupled, and produce magnetic field. So what we are trying to do is, basically what you can see is L2 is connected between the input and the ground. Okay, and here also we can see this is the input and this is the ground. So L2, that is the potential which will be there across L2, will be the potential at the input of transistor Q1, which is at the base emitter junction. Okay, so the first criteria, some part of the output should be fed back to the input. What happens when you apply positive supply or you give a DC charge? The capacitor charge. Okay, the capacitor charges. When the capacitor is fully charged, what it will do is it will discharge through inductor. Suppose it will discharge through L1. So when it is discharging through L1, that means current is flowing in the L1, and when current is flowing, there will be magnetic field, and in that magnetic field there will be L2. So the same current will flow. The amount of current will depend upon the number of turns. If you see the circuit, it is very clear, it is very evident that I have shown number of turns in L1 is more as compared to number of turns in L2. What we suggested is only some part of the output should be fed back to the input. That is why we have kept the number of turns in L2 less as compared to L1. Okay, so L1 and L2 are mutually coupled. So when capacitor discharges through L1, current will flow through L1, magnetic field is produced in L1. In that magnetic field you have L2, current will flow through the L2, there will be a magnetic field across L2, there will be a potential across L2, and that potential will be provided to the base emitter junction of the transistor. That means the first criteria is satisfied, some part of the output should be fed back to the input. Okay, so that is the first condition. Second, total phase shift between input and output should be 0 degree or 360 degree. A tank circuit, when connected as a feedback factor, provides an overall phase shift of 180 degree. And this is a common emitter configuration. And in common emitter configuration, the phase shift between input and output is 180 degree. If you remember, when we studied transistor, we studied three configuration: common base, common emitter, common collector. In that, common base and common collector has 0 degree of phase shift. right? Transistor configuration, if you remember that concept. Common base and common collector has 0 degree of phase shift, okay, whereas common emitter configuration, there is a phase shift of 180 degree between input and output, okay. So how much total phase shift will be there between the input and output? 180 plus 180, the total phase shift between input and output will be 360 degree. 180 provided by the common emitter amplifier and 180 provided by the tank circuit. So overall phase shift will be 360 degree. So that is what we have suggested. That is what Barkhausen suggested. Phase shift between input and output should be 0 degree or 360 degree, okay. And overall gain of the amplifier should be unity. That means this is, of course, this is a common emitter amplifier. By selecting proper values of R1, RB1, RC1, we can make sure that the gain of the amplifier should be kept at unity, that is 1, okay, that is 1. And then frequency of oscillation should be constant. So what is the factor affecting the frequency of oscillation? The component which is used. So frequency of oscillation is given by Fr is equal to 1 upon 2 pi under root of LC. So the only factor which will be affect the frequency will be L and C, and here LT is L1 plus L2. There are two inductors mutually coupled, and of course the CT value, okay, there will be CT value. So if the value of L1, L2 and CT are kept constant, the frequency of oscillation will be kept constant, right? So what you can see is the circuit which we have drawn for Hartley oscillator satisfies all the criteria suggested by Barkhausen. So if that is the condition, the circuit will provide sustained oscillation. I hope you have understood. Next, let us take one problem based on Hartley oscillator. The problem statement will be like this. A Hartley oscillator uses the following components. Calculate the frequency of oscillation when the components value are C is equal to 200 picofarad, L1 is 25 millihenry and L2 is 10 millihenry. Now, first of all, what is frequency of formula for frequency of oscillation? It is 1 upon 2 pi under root of LC. In case of Hartley oscillator, L will be L1 plus L2, okay. So this value will be 25 plus 10, that is 35 into 10 to the power minus 3 Henry, 35 millihenry, right? And what is the value of C? C is 200 picofarad, that is 200 into 10 to the power minus 12 farad, okay. Now we have to substitute the value in that formula. 1 upon 2 into 3.14 under root of 35 into 10 to the power minus 3 into 200 into 10 to the power minus 12, okay. So the frequency of oscillation, and if you solve this value, what you will get is 1.66 into 10 to the power minus 5, okay. This value will be like this, and if you calculate this value, it will be 60240.9 hertz, or I can write the same thing as it will be 60.241. If you substitute this value here, if you shift the decimal point here, it will be 10 to the power 3 hertz, or it will be 60.241, rounding it off, kilohertz. 10 to the power 3 is kilo, so kilohertz. So this is how a numerical can be asked for on the basis of for Hartley oscillator, okay. The next oscillator which we will try to understand is Colpitts oscillator. As I have already told you that there is a small change in the construction part of Hartley and Colpitts. In Hartley we used 2 inductor and 1 capacitor. In Colpitts we will use 2 capacitor and 1 inductor. That will be the only difference with respect to what we are trying to change in the feedback factor, that is the tank circuit, okay. So of course, look at the diagram what we are drawing now. We are drawing first one common emitter configuration with a stabilization factor of Re and Ce. This stabilizes the Q point of the transistor, that is quiescent point or the operating point of the transistor. And now in the feedback we have two capacitors. The value of capacitor, we will call it as C1 and C2, that is the tank circuit. Okay, and then we have an inductor, that is LT. Okay, of course, to provide stabilization and amplification factor, we have resistance R1, RB1 and RC1 connected to a DC power charge. Okay, some part of the output through a coupling capacitor is connected to the tank circuit, which will be your feedback factor and a feedback component, and then from output of the tank circuit is connected to the input of the transistor through again a coupling capacitor. I will call it as CA and CB. Okay, so this is the construction part of Colpit oscillator. What you can see is clearly evident from the circuit. What the change we have made as compared to Hartley oscillator is we have two capacitors. Okay, two capacitors connected in series, and then the inductor will form the tank circuit. Okay, you can take the output from here, so you can draw an inductor over here from where you can take the output. Okay, and of course, when potential is applied, that means external DC charge is given to the circuit, what will happen? The capacitor will charge, right? The capacitor, both capacitor C1 and C2 will charge. Now the potential across the capacitor C2 is the some part of the output which is feeding back to the input. That means, right, see what you can see is capacitor is connected between this point and ground, and the same point and ground you are connecting a capacitor. So voltage across capacitor will be the voltage across the base emitter junction of Q1. So some part of the output should be fed back to the input. Okay, so C1, C2 and LT forms a tank circuit. The voltage drop across C2 will be the input to the base emitter junction of Q1, which satisfies the first condition of Barkhausen, which is some part of the output should be connected, some part of the output should be fed back to the input. Okay, so of course when capacitor will charge, okay, both the capacitor will charge, the voltage drop across C2 will be the input, the capacitor will discharge through LT, okay, forming current will flow through the LT, that means inductor. Magnetic field will be produced, that magnetic field will be taken out as an output. Okay, now the second criteria of Barkhausen, that is phase shift between the input and output should be 0 degree or 360 degree. Okay, so what you can see is, of course, as we are using a common emitter configuration, the phase shift between the input and the output of a common emitter configuration is 180 degree. And another 180 degree of phase shift will be provided by the tank circuit. So the total phase shift between input and output of the circuit is 360 degree, which is a positive feedback, okay, and which is needed for an oscillator. So the second criteria of Barkhausen also got satisfied. Next is overall gain of the amplifier should be constant. By selecting values of R1, RB1 and RC1, we can make sure that the gain of the amplifier is unity, that is 1. Okay, whatever you are provide the input, the same will be the output. Okay, so the overall gain of the amplifier should be unity. And the third condition, or the fourth one, is frequency of oscillation should be constant. Frequency of oscillation should be constant. Again, frequency of oscillation is given by Fr is equal to 1 upon 2 pi under root of LC. Here L is LT and C, the capacitor which we have two values, C1 and C2. So C1 into C2 upon C1 plus C2. When two capacitors are connected in series, the equivalent capacitance is calculated by this formula, C1 into C2 upon C1 plus C2. So if you keep the value of LT, C1 and C2 constant, what you can see is the frequency of oscillation will be constant. So the circuit diagram which we have drawn for Colpit oscillator satisfies all the four criteria suggested by Barkhausen. So what you can see is, what you can say is that this circuit will produce sustained oscillation, and which is the requirement of any oscillator circuit. I hope you have understood. So what you have to do is, whenever this question is asked, you have to draw the diagram, relate this diagram to Barkhamson criteria, conclude that this circuit satisfies all the 4 criteria of Barkhamson, and therefore it will produce sustained oscillation. I hope you have understood. Next, let us try to understand a problem based on Colpitt's oscillator. The problem statement will be like this. For a Colpitt oscillator, frequency of oscillation is 10 kilohertz. Frequency of oscillation has already been mentioned, and the value of C1 and C2 is given. C1 and C2 both are 8 microfarad. Now we have to find the value of the inductor in the feedback circuit. That means what we have to calculate is, we have to calculate the value of L. Okay, first of all, write the frequency, output frequency. Frequency FR is equal to 1 upon 2 pi under root of LC. Can I write the same equation as FR square is equal to 1 upon 4 into pi square into LC? Okay, that is L multiplied by C, or I can write the equation as L is equal to 1 upon 4 into pi square into FR square into C. Okay, now in case of Colpitt's oscillator, what you can see is 2 capacitors are connected in series. So the value of C is C1 into C2 upon C1 plus C2. So it will be 8 into 10 to the power microfarad, that is minus 6 into 8 into 10 to the power minus 6 upon 8 plus 8 into 10 to the power minus 6. This comes out to be 4 into 10 to the power minus 6. Okay, this is the equivalent value of the capacitors, that is of course unit of capacitance will be farad. Now we have to just substitute the values over here, and you have to get the value. L is 1 upon 4 into 3.14 square multiplied by 10 square multiplied by the value of capacitor 4 into 10 to the power minus 6. Okay, so if you calculate 4 into 3.14, 9.86 something multiplied by 10 square, 10 kilohertz. Okay, so I'm very sorry, it will be 10 into 10 to the power 3. Frequency of oscillation is 10 kilohertz. So 10 into 10 to the power 3 whole power 2, which will be the square, and then 4 into 10 to the power minus 6. If you calculate, this value comes out to be 15775.3, and the value, if you calculate, this value will be 63.38 into 10 to the power minus 6. Okay, 63.38 10 to the power minus 6 is micro, and unit of inductor is Henry. So 63.38 micro Henry will be the value. So the basic formula remains the same, only the problem statement will change, and you just have to substitute the value and get the answer. I hope you have understood. Having understood Hartley oscillator and Colpitt oscillator, now let us move to RC phase shift oscillator. Now first question is, why we need to understand RC phase shift oscillator once we have Hartley and Colpitt oscillator. Now what is the frequency of oscillation? FR is equal to 1 upon 2 pi LC, sorry 2 pi under root of LC. This equation can be modified as 1 FR square 4 into 3.14 square, or I'll write pi square into L into C, or I can say L is equal to 1 upon 4 into pi square into FR square into C. Okay, so the inductor value depends upon the frequency. Suppose in case you are designing an RC or an LC oscillator, that means Hartley or Colpitt oscillator for low frequency, what you can see is the inductor value is inversely proportional to the frequency. The lower the value of frequency, the higher will be the value of inductor, right? And when you say inductor, what is inductor? Inductor is nothing but a length of wire which has been coiled. Okay, So the physical size of the inductor increases when the frequency decreases. So there is one disadvantage related to LC oscillator, that is Hartley and Colpit both. It is that for low, they both cannot be used for low frequency, because at low frequency the inductor value increases. That means the physical size of the inductor increases, and it is not feasible to use LC oscillator, or it is not feasible to use that inductor in the LC oscillator, and therefore LC oscillators are cannot be used for low frequency signal. There we replace the inductor by a resistance, a pure resistance. Okay, so that type of oscillator is called as RC phase shift oscillator. Okay, so if we have one resistance, and one capacitor, okay, so this is the input and this is the output. What we have seen is RC, experimentally it has been proven that one section, okay, one section of RC, if you keep the value of R0, the total phase shift will be, of course, 90 degree between input and output because of the capacitor. Okay, total phase shift between the input and the output is 90 degree, but we select the value of R and C such that one section of RC should provide a total phase shift of 60 degree. Okay, so what we are going to do when we are connecting RC in the feedback network, we are going to use 3 sections. Okay, each section producing a phase shift of 60 degree. Okay, each section producing a phase shift of 60 degree. Therefore, the total phase shift at the feedback factor will be 180 degree. All these things we are doing to satisfy Barkhausen criteria. Okay, next let us try to understand RC phase shift oscillator. Okay, RC phase shift oscillator, the circuit diagram almost remains the same. We are going to use common emitter configuration with a stabilization factor of R and C, that is emitter resistance and the collector resistance. Okay, and this is connected to ground, and this is a coupling capacitor CB, this is the coupling capacitor CA, and there is a voltage divider biasing which has been provided for stabilization of quiescent point, that is R1, RB1 and RC1. The output is fed back to the input through a feedback factor. R1, C1, R2, C2, R3, C3. Okay, so what we have done is, in the feedback section we have introduced 3 sections of RC. As I told you, when you make R equal to 0 in an RC network, if you make R equal to 0, the total phase shift between input and output will be 0 degree. But we cannot make R equal to 0. There will be no voltage drop across the feedback factor. Therefore, what we do is we select the value of R and C such that the one section will provide a phase shift of 60 degrees. So how many network we have connected? How many sections we have connected? We have connected 3 such sections. So total phase shift which will be provided by the RC network will be 180 degree, and this is a common emitter configuration. So total phase shift or phase shift between input and output for a common emitter configuration is 180 degrees. So the overall total phase shift between input and output will be 360 degree. Okay, so again, some part of the output should be connected back to the input, some part of the output through a feedback network is connected back to the input. Second, phase shift between input and output should be 360 degree or 0 degree. 180 degree provided by the common emitter configuration, 180 provided by the RC phase shift network. So total phase shift will be 360 degree. And the third condition, overall gain of the amplifier should be unity. Okay, overall gain of the amplifier should be unity. Of course, the gain of the amplifier will be decided by the value of R1, RB1 and RC1. Okay, by selecting proper values of R1, RB1, RC1, we can make sure that the gain remains, the gain will be unity, that is 1. and the frequency of oscillation should be constant. What are the factors affecting the frequency of oscillation? For that, the frequency formula for frequency for RC phase shift oscillator is given by 1 upon 2 pi RC under root of 6. Of course, it is 2 into n, where n is the number of sections which we have added for RC. Of course, we have added 3, so it will be under root of 6. So FR is equal to 1 upon 2 pi RC under root of 6. So the only value which will affect the frequency, that is frequency of oscillation, will be R and C. So if you make sure that the value of R and C is constant, then the frequency of oscillation will also be constant. So this is what you can see is all the 4 criteria is satisfied in the circuit. So we can say this circuit will be used to produce a sustained oscillation. Okay, I hope you have understood. Let us now take one problem based on RC phase shift oscillator. Okay, so in a RC phase shift oscillator, R is equal to 15 kilo ohms and C is 1 microfarad. Calculate the frequency of oscillation. Okay, frequency of oscillation, which is for RC phase shift oscillator, given by 1 upon 2 pi RC under root of 6. Okay, you just need to substitute the value and get the answer. I will leave this thing for you. Just substitute the value, get the answer, and tell me in the next class. Thank you.